Special guest Dr. Colin Beach could not join us due to some technical difficulties, but we'll get you on next time, Dr. Beach.
We're going to get him back on the show. We already talked about it.
Sorry, you know what? Can we do that really quickly again? I messed up that thing.
Well, we're live, so we can do whatever
we're
we
live,
like, Pete.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Ready?
We don't have to do the transition again. We can play the music again if you want.
I think it'd be kind of funny.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
We're going off. We're coming back on in a second.
I'm going to pay attention this time.
Now, go.
Welcome to If These Balls Could Talk, where each of us brings forth 5 topics to discuss. My name is Mark, and also we got John, Pete, and our special guest, Dr. Colin Beach. Is he here?
He's not.
I don't see him.
He's not here, but he hopefully will be joining us very, very soon.
He will
but
not.
Anyway, he will not? Okay.
He will not. He will not. We're getting him scheduled later in the show schedule for season 3. And
technical difficulties. It's okay.
He has he's trouble with the man. The man has told him he can't use the internet, and so we have to figure out how to make the internet possible.
That's what you got to do against Big Brother, right?
It's funny.
Right.
I'm actually gonna go into that whole can of worms tomorrow. My first day testing working remote.
Nice.
So we'll see how that goes.
So guys, how we been? How did we enjoy our break?
I missed you so much, Mark. I saw Pete a lot, but I missed you, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bobby, Pete had a birthday over the break. Happy birthday, Pete.
Yes.
He is old like me now.
I'm old, and yeah, if people were following on Facebook, if you know me, I'm also gonna be a dad.
Yay!
What's up with that?
Official
soundboard.
If These Balls
Soundboard.
Could Talk.
Yeah.
I'm not ready. We'll do it we'll do it live.
There you go.
They got to do it better than that.
So my lovely wife Steph is due in November, and we'll keep you up to speed as things go.
We should do like a 8-month pregnant Steph episode.
Baby watch.
I think she'd really enjoy that. Baby watch.
Just have like a graphic in the left or in the side, like.
We can do the fruit. We'll put the fruit on the show.
That's kind of cute. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just
we'll
like real time, like this is Steph's baby size.
Yeah, it'll be awesome.
All right, so normally we would take this opportunity to talk to our guests, ask them some questions. We were going to have a special segment for Dr. Beach, but because unfortunately he's not here. But what do you guys want to talk about? There's definitely lots going on. We were going to talk about sports gambling with Dr. Beach. Should we talk a little bit about that?
I think we should talk about sports gambling.
Yeah, we definitely
should talk about sports gambling. So there's definitely a huge hypocrisy with regards to sports gambling today. I mean, for a while it was definitely on, kind of a dirty word, and you weren't allowed to do it. Especially the players weren't allowed to bet. But now it's all over the place, right? Every state now wants their piece of the pie. There's all you see are ads now for FanDuel and for DraftKings. I mean, everything is just about betting now. Whenever you watch any kind of sports game, I don't know, guys. Do you think this is about where they expected it to be, or are we starting to get a little bit out of control here?
Well, I think the real issue in sports gambling right now, as far as in the realm of the NFL, and I think it's the technology that surrounds it, and the fact that it is incredibly easy to gamble in sports. I possibly have a question about this, but the Professional and Amateur Sports Protections Act was just repealed 5 years ago.
Yep.
And
what did that state in it?
Well, I mean, that essentially was the rule that sports gambling couldn't happen anywhere but Nevada, and that was since 1992. And it just got repealed 5 years ago.
Right, that was the big no sports betting rule.
That was the big no sports betting. And since then, 33 states have launched legal betting markets and regulated sports books.
I didn't realize it was that many states yet.
Yeah, so everybody's like, oh, we can make a bunch of money on sports gambling. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the state was like, well, we want to get our piece of the pie, right? There's
another violation right now in the Colts camp that the NFL is investigating. And so...
I did. What players are involved in that? Do we know yet?
I think that
he's not a big name. He's not a big name. Okay. I know that.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was like a whole group of guys like the Lions.
Well, that's. I mean, it could potentially be out there, right? Because there are a lot of, there's a lot of NFL players, especially that aren't making like multi-million-dollar contracts or the big money contracts, like the Jalen Hurtses of the world, and So they want to make their money somehow too, especially in a quick and easy way.
The main name
right?
in the investigation is Isaiah Rodgers, and Isaiah Rodgers is a cornerback.
I think he's their kick returner too, I believe.
Yes, I think he's on the special teams as well.
He's a really good kick returner, actually. I think they drafted him specifically for that, and they also just made him a cornerback.
How convenient is it, though, that the NFL this year decided to have a rule that now, isn't it like any fair catch from any kickoff just starts at the 25, no matter where it is?
Yeah, you can catch it.
Kind of
you can catch any kickoff. Yep.
Most kickoff returns. It's like,
I mean, the NFL is trying.
I get
to get
reasoning.
safer on, especially on the kickoffs. Like,
yeah.
I mean, kickoffs are extremely violent and brutal.
Yeah.
So I understand what they're trying to do, but unfortunately, it just makes it really. Why have a kickoff at all now? Just
that's
have
kind of
the ball on the 25,
right?
Have the ball on the 25 and go from there.
I mean, that was a bit of a segue, gentlemen, but still, I mean, there is a good point.
I think it's valid.
Everybody is trying to make all the games safer, all the games faster, all the games more exciting. We talked about baseball a ton of times, how baseball is a really prime component of this. And like, we're trying to get sports to a place that is overall better for everybody, for the players too.
So we'd love to, all you that are listening to are watching us right now live, please throw in some comments and what you guys think of sports gambling and whether it's okay, whether you don't think it's okay, and whether or not the athletes should participate. I'd love to hear whether you guys think about that.
What's your app of choice, Mark?
I don't do it. I've yet to do any kind of gambling. I know. We've talked about this before. I haven't gone to a casino in a while. I don't know. So both the big ones, DraftKings and FanDuel. Actually, I definitely know DraftKings is actually based in Boston. So I kind of feel like I have to support DraftKings more.
That's funny. I mean, the thing is, there is only like 2 or 3 outlets that the NFL has allowed, and so it's FanDuel and DraftKings, and actually Caesars. So they partner with Caesars, and the Caesars app is really great. But there's a ton of money to be had. Mm-hmm. The last Super Bowl, not the one at Jeff's house. Hey Jeff. But the one before that, we played tons of prop bets. There's tons of really easily accessible prop bets and parlays and all this cool stuff you can do. And a lot of them, especially in New York, if you sign up, they'll give you a bunch of money.
They give you free money, right?
Mm-hmm. Bunch of money.
I mean, it's hard to say no to that, right?
Yeah, they're really. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the MO of like all this stuff. It's illegal, and then the second it isn't, it's like, let's make the biggest industry out of it possible and just get a ton of revenue.
Same thing kind of happened with name, image, and likeness in college sports too. All of a sudden they release the floodgates, and it's all over the place.
Although I feel like that was a dam that was building for many years that was ready to burst. I don't know.
All right. Why don't we get going on our normal topics, right? Hey, I don't know. John, you want to start this one? We'll switch things up a little bit.
That's very
exciting.
So.
Especially considering, I guess we kind of transitioned to one of your topics already, right?
Well, yeah, we kind of talked about that, but that's okay. I got more.
I actually, of my topics, I do not have a football topic.
Well, and then I'm going to ask you another football topic.
Sure.
In classic Gus fashion, we're going to spend some time talking about the Buffalo Bills. Drink. This week, the Bills broke ground on the new $1.54 billion Orchard Park Stadium. Before the first shovelfuls were dug, owner Terry Pegula looked at the sky, addressed former owner Ralph Wilson, and said, "Ralph, we're moving across the street."
I love it.
Which was funny and heartwarming and like a really nice moment.
Yeah.
The new stadium is scheduled to open in 2026 with $850 million of the cost being picked up by taxpayers. The deal itself has been questioned, with critics referring to it as corporate welfare in using taxpayer funds to support Pegula, who is worth $6.7 billion. As well, it has been asked whether it would have been better to bring the Bills back to playing in Buffalo to revitalize the city. And so firstly, and I was going to ask this specifically because Colin was here and he's also from Buffalo, but for Pete and Colin, are you gents excited about the promise of the Bills in Buffalo for another 30 years? Because they signed that lease for 30 years. And what are your thoughts about taxpayers paying more than half of this stadium since their current one was deemed too expensive to repair?
I love the first one. I don't love the second one. Yeah, I don't understand why that is the case. It would be different. I almost would have preferred it if it was a more expensive stadium that was a dome that would have year-round use for concert venues, for different things, different activities in addition to football, because then it really would feel like something the city had and would use. Like, right, it would be a big entertainment and revenue draw to Buffalo on top of just the Bills. But this stadium seems like the perfect football stadium and nothing else.
Football!
Especially for Buffalo.
Football.
So, I mean, yes, I know for the way the Bills fans are so attached to the team and so passionate that, you know, if you word it the right way, I'm sure many wouldn't mind footing the bill, but that's a lot of money. And these people have so much money. Like Terry, you know.
Well, that's how the rich stay rich, right? They don't spend their money.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing that threw me off about this story, and the reason I bring it up, is because it's 3/4 of the cost. I mean, half of the cost.
Yeah,
of
a little over half.
A giant stadium.
It's a huge amount.
I mean,
yeah.
and Pete was telling me yesterday that they do need it. Right, you said that in 5 years the current stadium will be deemed unlivable.
Yeah, the upper decks were basically declared structurally unsound within 5 years.
Well, see, I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah,
so I mean,
very big problem.
The fact of it is that the Bills are as popular, as good as they were in the 90s, and they're as popular as maybe they've ever been in other markets, because it was cool to be a Bills fan before they got real good. It was real cool
Bills
to be a Bills
Mafia
fan.
travels very well nowadays.
Yeah,
Bills Mafia travels
they might be
really
more
well.
popular than they were in the 90s at this point. Just
Right.
from a national scale, I think.
All right, I mean, we can ask Pete because he's been a Bills fan since the 90s, or since the 80s even.
Late 80s.
And everyone
yeah.
who is younger than that list in the 80s did exist. It wasn't that great.
I think it was greater than people, or I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think people remember it
you can
greater
speak
than it
about it
actually
because-
was. But then again, we were just kids, so.
Yeah.
I mean, with regards to Pete, you mentioned something about you wish it could be used for concerts. I mean, keep in mind, football is played during the bad weather season, so you could still have concerts in an outdoor stadium. Gillette does that all the time. In fact,
Yeah.
Gillette hosts a lot of concerts
In the middle
during,
of a snowstorm?
during the year. Why are you hosting concerts in a snowstorm? Most bands are touring during the summertime.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I mean, they can still do a ton of stuff with it. I don't know. I guess that was another point, though, of like, why are you hampering an offense that's kind of made for a dome?
Well, that's another thing is that, you know, one of the big draws for Buffalo is home field advantage is the cold weather, because, you know, teams that do play in domes, they don't like the cold weather. So it's a big home field advantage to be able to play in cold weather, right?
I would say that until Cincinnati clobbered them in the playoffs. That was embarrassing.
Well, I mean, they did try to do the same play for the second half. So
Never mind. 4 verticals, right?
There was that. Right in a row.
Actually,
like, oh, look, they're going to throw.
Quick segue on that one. Former Bill Isaiah McKenzie actually opened up in an interview and was talking about that.
Current Giant.
Yeah, current Giant, because because Brian Daboll
had to get that one in there, John.
Brian Daboll's just got the vacuum cleaner going from the Buffalo organization.
Oh yeah.
They're even tying.
Josh McDaniels was trying to do the same thing with Patriots.
Isaiah McKenzie, he's going to start
totally.
this year, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's good.
Is he?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, like WR4.
He killed the end of last season.
He
scored more touchdown and got more yards on the Giants than he did in his entire career.
Not McKenzie. You're talking about the other guy.
Yes.
Oh, Hodgins.
Yes, Hodgins.
I thought you were talking about McKenzie too.
No, Hodgins is like,
what are you gonna start? Nothing but slot receivers?
Yeah,
nothing but slot receivers.
All
Well,
slots.
and when D Hop decides he wants to play East and not West in New York, we're gonna really enjoy
he's
that.
not gonna be a Giant.
Whoever.
That's a nice little pipe dream there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Pete. I read an
okay.
article recently about the reasons that he would do very well on the Giants, and I felt very good about it.
Okay.
I mean,
D Hop would do
sorry.
well anywhere because he's that kind of a wide receiver.
He was all talk about wanting to hunt for a championship and do all that and screw the money, and now apparently the tune has changed to I just want the biggest payout possible. So
Yes. I mean, he's DeAndre Hopkins. He can do that.
I can't blame him.
And what?
It's early.
What
It's
is-
early.
I
Can
know.
you guys explain to me, by the way? I was very confused on the Sports Cycle today when I saw that the Vikings were going to drop. What's his
They
face?
did. They did drop Dalvin Cook today.
Dalvin Cook's out.
How do you drop Dalvin Cook?
Money.
You're just like,
he's worth a lot of I think it was like over $9 million.
Yeah,
they owed him.
I mean, is this
Thielen's
just the
gone
conversation that we've been having that maybe a RB1 is just not a worthwhile investment?
That's what everyone thinks now.
Yeah, I mean, not to the extent that it used to be. And if it is,
did Tony Pollard ruin it for everyone?
I don't know.
I know Derrick Henry. That wasn't. They were considering trading him as well. The Titans, because he's worth like I don't know off the top of my head, like what, maybe 12 or 14 million.
Yeah, which I mean, Henry at 26. Okay, yeah, I would pay that. But you know, these running backs as they approach 30, unfortunately, have decades of data that shows it just falls off a cliff.
He's Derrick Henry,
before we move on, Pete, did you want to say the thing you were going to say? So I feel bad because I'm just being loud in Italian with my big red shirt.
Oh,
do you guys like my shirt?
I do like it. Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Right, fantastic.
No, I was just going to say Mackenzie was on an interview basically saying that he thought their offensive play calling was garbage in that game against Cincy, and they were playing.
You think?
Well, but specifically that all of the play calling was for basically in a dome early verticals in the season. Well, it wasn't just verticals. It was a lot of very complex and very like cutting kind of routes that you just can't do in the snow. And Cincy simplified their game plan immensely, and it allowed them to just do very simple moves that took the most advantage of the snow. So basically they just super got out coached, and I think they were just out of gas.
Yeah.
That season took a toll on that team. We're like really badly.
Womp, 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 womp.
It happened. Anyway,
Mark, I love the soundboard for the live viewers, but I mean, it doesn't get recorded for this.
Oh, that's true.
Well,
that's
you already did it before.
We're good. We're our own soundboard. We do pretty well at making our own sounds.
I think we still use the soundboard because I love it. So
it is fun.
Do you want to move on?
Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go to the next one.
Hey, baby, do you want a next topic?
So big news in the world of professional golf was announced this week when the Professional Golf Association, aka the PGA, and the Saudi Arabian backers of the LIV Tour said that they were going to merge. 2 years ago, the creation of the LIV Tour caused a huge divide amongst professional golfers, including lawsuits and suspensions. But all that seems to be in the past now. There were major differences between the tours, including one less round of 18 holes and guaranteed money for the golfers. However, LIV did not have the media coverage or the loyal following that the PGA possesses. So everyone, what did the PGA and LIV Tour ultimately merge? I'm sorry, why did the PGA and LIV Tour ultimately merge? And what might be the lasting effects?
Money.
Mm-hmm.
Money.
Absolutely.
Money.
Where does that money come from?
I read
Bad
two
places.
articles on this researching, and I was totally going to write one. And I was like, Mark's writing this question. I'm
totally writing this
question.
I might have another golf question too.
That's
amazing.
right.
I love it. I think that, and even though it's their PR push, I think it's true. They are doing it for the betterment of professional organized golf in the future. Now, did every professional golfer that they interviewed say, what? How did that happen? I mean, they were all flabbergasted. They were like, that's
They weren't
impossible.
told. Nobody was told of this deal, except and Greg Norman, who's like the president of LIV, was told like 10 minutes prior to them announcing it.
Greg Norman,
the shark.
Pete, can you do an Australian accent?
Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Norman.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good, man. Excellent. Really
I thought
funny.
that was all right. Yeah.
But all right. So now, yes, this essentially is going to be more money for the golfers. Now, the PGA is actually a non-profit organization.
Really?
Now, that is a truth fact. Now, having this now be backed by Saudi Arabian investors, I'm not 100% sure what that does to their non-profit status, but they are now going to be getting, I mean, there's just going to be more money involved with everyone. Now, the big thing is there was a lot of mudslinging going back and forth between all the golfers that went to LIV and people that were in the PGA Tour. So now, do they just welcome them back with open arms? There's some people saying that they might have to reapply to join the PGA because a lot of them were suspended from the PGA or just taken off altogether. So, we'll see what's going to happen. There were a lot of butts hurts with this whole deal.
Many butts were hurt.
A lot of butts hurts. I don't know.
No butts were harmed in the making of the new golf association.
So we'll see what happens with this. But I mean, how do you guys feel? Because this is, again, backed by Saudi Arabian people. That, you know, there's a lot of controversy going on with Saudi Arabia, right? Like,
they're not our friend.
Ties to 9/11, the whole potential murder of Jamal Khashoggi. I hope I got that name right. That journalist from the Washington Post.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about, so I'm sure.
It just, to me, it just feels like
dirty money. Yeah. Dirty money, potentially.
Sure. I mean, it just reinforces that these large entities that have a bunch of money only care about one thing, and that's more money, regardless of who they hurt in the process or what they stand for. And that's all it is. And it's not even like the whole company. It's a couple people at the very top, I'm sure, that are doing this. And, you know,
I mean, everyone has a price potentially,
sure.
Right? If you throw enough money at someone, then they'll ignore things potentially.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But I feel like even as a business decision, this is potentially bad news. I mean, if all this funding is coming
from a business perspective?
I mean, right now, yeah, it's a big payoff. But I mean, like, what if this LIV group just decides to completely like screw over the whole PGA and just dismantles it, or you know, they get their money or they're bored with it and they're like, you know what, screw America.
They're part of the merge was certain organizational things that had to stay in place. Like that was definitely something that they did agree. But it's funny. So going back to Greg Norman, he did kind of make an announcement. It's like, well, the LIV Tour is still going to probably go on even after this merge, and I don't know what he's thinking.
What are they going to do about the different set of rules? Do you think
they're going to follow the PGA rules?
That's awesome.
They're going to shift.
Yeah. Like, what did this really accomplish? What this accomplished was the players are going to get more money. That's really all this really accomplished.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a side of me that wishes there could be another way for that, but I mean, then again, they're already making a bunch of money, so
we'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
We will see.
That's time to move on.
That was most of it.
All right. What do we got?
Do you guys want to do any next topics? Or you want some soundboard next topics? I didn't add more. Now that we're back, I need to add more.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do the soundboard.
It's time for the next topic, okay? Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Time for the next topic. So, I wanted to take a moment on the show this week because it's such big news and talk about it. I walked out of my building for lunch on Tuesday and was shocked by the state of the air in the sky. As I missed the news and the warnings from Alexa and my phone, the air quality index in Albany was a shocking 155. There's a number for that. I just learned about that this week in AQI, which is inside the unhealthy status. Today, or yesterday, was over 300 in Yonkers, which is insane to me.
I saw somebody show like 390.
Yep. Air quality alerts have been issued for more than 17 states from Kansas to Vermont due to the wildfires in Quebec, where more than 160 forest fires are currently active. Canada is experiencing one of the worst starts to its wildfire season ever recorded. More than 6.7 million acres in the country have already burned in 2023.
It's more than that now, I think. It's up to over 9 million.
Oh, my God.
And that was literally because I wrote this on Tuesday. That's like 3 days, right? So why does the threat of dangerous forest fires seem more real than ever before? And how does government support need to change to effectively warn at-risk people?
I mean, climate change, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is the fruits of 150 years of pumping carbon into the air and changing, like raising global temperature, which changes the jet stream. It changes different water currents. It changes air currents. So you've taken what used to be a very wet, temperate, cool climate up there and have turned it into a warmer, drier one that, you know, one dry thunderstorm is all it takes to set 9 million acres of it on fire.
Well, that's the thing, too. I mean, wildfires are a necessary part of the world's cleaning process, right? It has to happen.
Definitely.
It does have to happen.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It has to happen, and it has to stop.
Yeah, not
right?
at that. Right. Just not at the scale that it's happening at is the problem. And because of your...
It looked like the apocalypse in New York this week, guys.
Yeah.
It
reminds me of...
I heard the word dystopia turn around.
Yeah.
Yes, dystopia. Dystopian Manhattan, like in a movie, you guys.
Yeah, seriously. It reminds me of LA. Was it pre-pandemic or like right during the pandemic when they
It was
had
in 2020 because literally
really bad
I just had
I
had a conversation with a colleague where I work who literally did green energy out in California and came here in 2020, 2021. He was like, it reminds me of when I left. I was like, that sucks, man. It's your fault.
Can't get away
following
from
you.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear the term purple alert come out too?
No.
What's
that has to do? Yeah, that term came out. That has to do with bad air quality. A purple alert.
I did see the worst.
The dangerous is the purple. That's the purple color, right?
Yeah, the purple color is the worst one.
So this actually, this is kind of old news, believe it or not, in my neck of the woods. Last week there were wildfires in Nova Scotia, and they made a way down to Providence. And it's when I went outside for lunch, and it smelled like a campfire outside.
Oh, so you guys must have got
all week.
Wow.
I don't know about the FAU words of delicious.
Smelled like particulate matter.
You must have got a bad too.
It did get hazy. Now it didn't quite get as hazy and cloudy as it did in New York and in DC and Philadelphia. But it had an orange hue too. Like at 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was so eerie and almost straight out of a movie.
Yeah. It almost looks like you're in a sci-fi film where it's like, oh, this is what it would look like if you were living on a planet revolving around like a red dwarf instead of our sun. Like it was just this red ball. Look, but like not a sunset time of day. It's like high up in the sky is a red ball. You're like, what the hell? It's weird.
Most of the Eastern Seaboard was under smoke this week.
Absolutely.
A good portion of the country was under smoke this week. It's everywhere, but like California, if you look at the maps that NASA has put out. Because actually, and a part of this question, I think, is that me as a person who has never experienced a real wildfire emergency in my whole life living in the Northeast, I didn't even pay attention when I saw it on Alexa. I remember seeing it. I was like, whatever. And I just moved on with my day. And I was just like...
But then you go outside and you're like, what the...
Oh, right, because this was like Monday night. I saw the warning. And on Tuesday, and now my wife, who is asthmatic, hi Mel, good sound. That's a good sound effect, Mark.
That sounded like a cartoon sound. It was like,
it was very good. She needs to like wear a mask and be actually careful. And so I don't know if education needs to rise or warning systems need to rise. We do all carry supercomputers in our pockets. So
yeah, why wasn't there like a giant alert that went out to everyone's phone?
Yeah, National Weather Service should have had something.
It was in the Apple data weather, and nobody.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't get an alert.
See, I didn't get anything either. Like usually, I'll get pinged for like a severe thunderstorm warning or something imminent, like tornado.
When there's an Amber Alert in your area, your phone goes crazy.
So why didn't our whole phone turn purple and be like purple?
Well, no,
alert?
but it's. The technology is out there. Like you can send out notification to everyone's phone. Yeah. And I don't know.
Maybe just because
I didn't get anything.
Maybe just it's never happened before. So they were like, oh crap, we should have sent something out. I don't know.
I did find some really cool live maps that you got. So if you go on the NASA website, you Google NASA air quality, you guys can find a ton of different stuff on this. All actually really interesting if you care to learn. But they have... Right, they have live air quality maps and live smoke states.
I don't know if I can't really see that, Pete.
Hey, Pete,
that was a little bright.
Pete, if you want to try, you can switch the stream to the website on your computer because of
very true. Now we're definitely not gonna solve this case on this episode. But do you feel like this is going to be this is not now the norm? We're gonna have to deal with wildfires like every single summer.
I think so.
I mean, we haven't even talked about the California wildfires, and I mean that now they haven't had them happen yet, but it seemed to happen every single summer now.
Yeah, I mean it'll happen. It happens every summer in California.
Yeah.
So talking about wildfires is now just going to be a thing, right? It's going to be like whether or not Aaron Rodgers deserves to live or die, right, John?
Probably, unfortunately.
I mean, he can live. He just is bad at football. I expect him to retire in, I don't know,
2 seasons. I give him 2 years.
No. He'll put in 1 year with the Jets. Anyway, save that because we're potentially going to talk about this later.
My favorite human.
But it's not a football. It's not a football question.
Interesting.
Football.
Right.
Okay, let's move on. Well, hold on. Mark's going to take a chug of scotch first.
Just a little sip.
Get the next topic now.
So I've yet another golf topic at hand, which I said before, that includes the unveiling of golf's possible next phenom in Rose Zhang. She is drawing multiple comparisons to Tiger Woods, including both going to Stanford and dominating at the amateur level. Last weekend, Zhang competed in her first professional tournament, and she actually won it. Now, the last next big thing in women's golf was Michelle Wie, who had a long drive, but she didn't quite pan out as expected. So everyone, is Rose Zhang the next Tiger Woods after winning her first pro tournament?
I think that's awfully soon. I mean,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Tiger Woods had all this hype when he first came out.
One day and she won a tournament. That's great, but
but she's been hyped for a while. Like people were expecting her to play her first pro tournament, much like Tiger Woods, but unlike Tiger Woods, she won it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to say that I agree, and I want to, but I'm also kind of like, this goes back to an earlier episode, maybe back to season 1 when we were just talking about women's sports, and the sucky part about it is, will she have the same impact? Because a lot of like being the next Tiger Woods was generationally defining not just the sport itself, but the culture around it, the swag, the media coverage.
Tiger Woods changed the game.
Yeah, completely.
The EA Sports games
and everything around the game. Right. The merchandising, the games.
EA Sports, not a sponsor.
Yep.
It's in the game. Can I just say for a second?
We can make 100% Slider Man.
Let Pete finish.
Hold on. I was going to say, dude, the game, because of Tiger Woods, we can now make 100% Slider Man that plays golf. Amazing. And how awesome is that?
The best game. Justin Timberlake with an afro.
Yep. And if you don't,
animated.
If people here are less nerdy and don't know what 100% man is, or woman in this case, it's when you literally like create your own character in a sports video game and just put every slider possible to 100%, like height, weight, muscles, fat.
So Pete's rule in professional sports video games that we used to play was that, okay, we're going to make you, this is you, if you tried your hardest for 5 years to make a professional
to actually get in shape, yeah.
To actually like get in shape and learn sports.
5 years, that sounds time committing.
Time committing and difficult. Like 5 years would actually do it, but you'd
have to like eat right for 5 years too, right?
Do I get Tiger Vision? I just want Tiger Vision.
Ooh, I don't know.
That was easily, by the way, the one that we played a lot, Mark. That was easily
you
the
guys
best
played
golf
that a
game
ton.
that was
Absolutely.
ever made in the world.
Mm.
Mark was very good.
I loved that game.
Mark was very good at Tiger Woods golf.
Pretty good at it. I wish I was really that good in my real golf game, because every time I go out there, I think I have Tiger Vision, and it's not even close.
They should hook up like Tiger Woods golf to the golfing simulators, the indoor ones.
I mean, have you? I know, John. I know you have. Pete, have you done a simulator?
I haven't. I really want to.
There is a new one, newish, by us in Schenectady that looks really, really cool.
I still can't wait till the Topgolf by me gets built. Oh, I drove by it the other day. It was amazing. I really can't wait. You guys, if you guys are ever in like Vegas or Arizona, they do have one in Jersey as well. You should try a Topgolf. The way that I love to describe Topgolf to people is just imagine a driving range and a bowling alley combined into one.
Yes.
And it's so much fun.
Many YouTube videos on Topgolf. Topgolf looks super fun.
It's so much fun.
There are lots of Topgolf YouTube videos. If
Topgolf not a sponsor.
Topgolf not a sponsor. YouTube not a sponsor. Even though YouTube, we could be a sponsor if you'd like. But a lot of videos of people just like one hand swinging like 350-yard drives on the top floor of a Topgolf. People doing lots of Happy Gilmore swings. That's my favorite.
Amazing.
Yes, Pete. So we need to go to the bunker. The bunker, not a sponsor, in Schenectady, because
sure,
the bunker
I love it.
Has golf and beer, and it looks fun and new.
Sounds good. So
remember, all right.
Yeah,
back to the
topic,
original
though.
question, though.
Sorry, yeah.
Back to the original question. Rojang, remember
Mark,
that
I don't know
name.
anything about. I don't know anything about Rojang.
I know. I really do think she is going to be a phenom. Like
she's young too. Holy.
Michelle Wee had got a lot of hype, but Michelle Wee, all she really could do was hit the ball long. And it took her years to win her first tournament. But again, Rojang did it in her first try. So
that's pretty good.
I think this is going to be a thing. She's going to be worth following, I think.
Yeah. I see she's like 20 years old too. She's got a long career ahead of her if she can stay healthy.
Yep. We'll see.
That is pretty cool.
I'm trying to see. She has 4 pictures on her Instagram. I don't think she likes being famous yet.
Are you sure that's her official Instagram?
It is probably not. It is probably not. All right,
we have more than 4 pictures on our Instagram.
We got a lot of pictures on our Instagram.
At If These Balls Pod.
That's right. Oh, my mouse just died. Fun.
It's a cool story, bro.
Well, Pete, the producer, you should get a mouse that works.
I got a charge cord for it. It's all good.
Nice. Charge cord.
So many issues this episode.
Mark, have you been out yet on the golf course?
So this is what happens when we do one live show and then we're off for 2 weeks and then expect to come back flawlessly.
When I was down in Florida back in March, I did, but I haven't gone since. I will.
It's like golf season, right?
Well, you know, I don't have time to sleep. Never mind golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you up to 10 jobs yet?
No, not yet.
Mark's trying to beat me on more jobs, and he's winning. So I have a lot.
I
have a lot.
Do you? Well, yeah, you do have a lot going on. But as far as like stuff you're getting paid for, isn't it just like one job that you're just putting a ton of hours into, or is it?
Well, I'm working a full extra day on my actual job for pay, and you know, I co-host a semi-popular, semi-viral podcast.
What's that called?
You might have heard of it.
You might have heard of it, and I'm on my my PTA school board, so which is very rewarding.
Oh, that sounds like a hard
difficult.
job. Yeah, that sounds like a hard job.
Rewarding and difficult.
It's probably the hardest job he's got.
The president called me. The president called me today and asked me if we could spend money, and I sighed and then said yes.
Next topic.
Had to add that on the end there, Pete, because it was so epic and wonderful. Nice. Dude, I wrote so many football questions. It is now June, and the NFL hasn't chosen this year's Hard Knocks team yet. It was chosen in March last year. This is mainly due to the formula that is used to pick the teams. 1, if they have a first-year coach in place. 2, if they've had a playoff berth in the past 2 seasons. 3, if they've appeared on Hard Knocks in the past 10 years. So of all the teams in the NFL, there are only 4 teams that are eligible: the Jets, the Bears, the Saints, and the Commanders. So, talking about my favorite human in the whole NFL.
Of course.
Clearly, it seems that the biggest pickup of the offseason on the Jets should be the obvious choice for Hard Knocks this year. It seems like the Jets coaches and management, however, have no interest in the show. So who would you want to be the Hard Knocks team? And is there a curse? Or is it just a distraction to an already struggling team?
So I didn't realize that there was all that criteria.
I didn't either. I thought it was so interesting.
Because I was going to say, you should do the Lions again, because I think the Lions was the Hard Knocks team last year.
It was, and it totally helped, I guess.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that kind of answers the whether or not there's a curse. I thought the Jets did Hard Knocks relatively recent.
Not in the last was before 10 years or 5 years or whatever.
Really?
They did it with Rex, and actually looked up the video of Rex, who said a whole bunch of really ridiculous shit on Hard Knocks when they were on last. It was when Rex was the coach, Sexy Rexy.
You know a team that will never do Hard Knocks? The New England Patriots.
Oh, have they really?
That's a definite that Bill Belichick will never allow.
Hell hath frozen over if they're doing it.
He's like, no, Roger, no.
Wait, so John, you said the Jets. Who were the other 3 teams?
The Jets, the Bears, the Saints, and the Commanders.
I could see the Bears.
I was going to say the Bears.
Because I think people want to follow Justin Fields and get to know him a little more. And yeah, that's a brand new regime. So that sounds like a pretty good candidate.
And side note, Derek Carr looks jacked. He looks like he got angry in the offseason. Yeah, he looks
for the
great in
Saints?
OTAs.
But jacked?
I literally
can he not put his arms down?
I was watching him throw to Michael Thomas, and I was like, huh. And so I got a little gruff for this in our Dynasty League, but I traded 2 seasons ago now Kirk Cousins for Derek Carr. Thought it was 1-for-1. Felt really 1-for-1 for me.
You got ridiculed for that, didn't you?
I got some gruff for that, but it's okay because he's my backup.
It's okay.
But I feel pretty good about Derek Carr on the Saints throwing to Michael Thomas.
I would like to see that too.
And Chris Olave.
And Chris Olave. I think he got a major team upgrade, honestly.
And
he definitely got a team upgrade.
If Kamara's not in jail, Alvin Kamara might get a resurgence this year.
Alvin Kamara, if he plays.
Too soon.
Hey,
and talking about dynasty teams, by the way, so we were just talking about Dalvin Cook getting dropped, and the Dalvin Cook will land on his feet, but Pete's 2 starting running backs, Dalvin Cook and Alvin Kamara, who knows what team they're on?
I know.
Ooh.
Well, Kamara is still on the Saints, right?
I mean, yes,
for
but
now,
he's gonna probably go to jail.
But yeah.
So.
What if the Saints pick up Cook because of that whole situation?
Ooh,
right? It would be a nice pivot.
Ooh, that's a potential. That is actually I think that's a real possibility.
I was just thinking that earlier today.
Regardless of what happened with Kamara.
Sure. I mean,
right.
They've done it before, right? They had Ingram and Kamara as like a 1-2 punch a couple of years at the end of Breeze's career. I could see that happening, but it would not be good for my fantasy team.
No.
Have you guys heard who has been helping Derek Carr?
No.
John Gruden.
Oh,
really?
Yes, I actually did read that. Yes.
I don't know. Trying to get his way back into the NFL.
Both salty about getting punted out of the Raiders organization, or what?
Well, both of them, right? And we recently talked about this, right? The Raiders aren't really very well managed or coached.
I feel like they've kind of been fly by the seat of their pants for their entire existence.
Yes.
They were 2 seasons ago when they had Rich Bisaccia, I believe, was the special teams coach, fill in as an interim coach, and they seemed to do all right, but they did him dirty.
Yeah.
That is true.
And
just chasing Darren Waller off. I mean, literally hey, Darren Waller.
I know.
Married,
it's like, we don't need you anymore.
You. You're old and bad. He's like, I'm neither of those things.
Still one of the top tight ends in the league.
So, yes.
I think McDaniels was hoping that he get Gronk because he just wants to build another Patriots team.
Patriots 2.
That is true.
Or Patriots West.
Darren, if you're listening, I'm very excited.
You got Jacoby Myers.
You did get Jacoby Myers.
Oh, yeah. He's good.
He had Jarrett Stidham. I actually found out Jarrett Stidham is no longer on the Raiders.
Okay.
But he got Jimmy G. G, another former Patriot.
Who's their backup QB? No.
That's an excellent question, Pete.
Pete, you're so good at questions.
We should have researchers to look that stuff up.
Right. I'm my own researcher. Their backup QB is Brian Hoyer, who is bad at
football. Oh, that's right. Brian Hoyer, another former Patriot.
The immortal Brian Hoyer.
At football.
Isn't he like 45? He's as old as Tom Brady at this point.
He's a forever backup.
Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams are literally just going to quit and start their own team.
Yeah.
Just like, what did you do to the things that I was here for?
Seriously. Man. No, I totally feel for Devontae Adams because that team was supposed to be Derek Carr and him taking over the world.
And Waller.
And got rid of Derek Carr.
Yep.
Well, and
now
Jacobs
it's like
Jacobs,
Waller. I mean, that team was like really, really, really good on paper.
They were the most.
He's a true professional. Devontae Adams is a true professional, so I give him that. He's not. I don't think he's really telling us how he really feels, but
I'd be pissed if I were him.
he was pretty pissed when it happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Completely justifiable.
You're my best friend.
Best friend.
Let me tell you something about my best friend.
Well, I mean, if he's mad and D-Hop doesn't end up on the Bills, I'd be fine with him. Devontae, hey, how do you want to get passes thrown to you by Josh Allen and go win a Super Bowl? Maybe no.
I don't think the Bills can afford D-Hop. Even at
I don't think so either.
Especially even at veterans minimum, I don't think they can afford them.
Yeah, they're doing too many moves and signing too many other guys. Like
He's gonna be so spendy.
They just got the other half of the Rams edge pass rushing from the Super Bowl.
Patriots.
Oh, you think so?
That's my homer pick. He's going to be a Patriot.
Interesting.
D-Hop.
I mean, if
you guys want to make a bet,
they have the cap space.
Patriots versus Bills. I'm not going to make a bet because I don't think he's going to the Giants.
No,
he could go to the Giants.
No way he's going to go to the Bills.
I don't think he could. No, I think the Bills don't have the money. I agree.
There's only like a handful of teams that have the money.
Yep. Unless
one of them is the Patriots.
Yeah, I was going to say they've got cap space now.
All right. Shall we
ready to
move
go?
on?
Yeah.
Let's do
I
this
just lost you
one.
guys in my left ear.
Oh no.
That sucks.
Hey, I'm sorry
there we
about
go.
that next
We're
topic
back.
there, Mr. McD.
So the head
Larry got
coach
one.
of the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, Mike Malone, made a tirade after his team lost Game 2 of the NBA Finals. It took us this long to talk about the NBA Finals. Now, this is a move that most coaches don't make during their post-game press conferences. In fact, most of them are pretty boring. But it's definitely in Malone's playbook, as he's done in the past. Now, the Nuggets did actually respond positively in Game 3 against the Miami Heat by clobbering them in Miami with a 15-point victory that included their star, Nikola Jokic, with 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists. So, everyone, is it fair or foul for a coach to call out his team publicly? And how do you feel you would respond if you were called out like that?
I mean, every sports movie in the whole entire universe has taught me that coaches can do whatever they want.
It's a sports movie, right? Yeah.
I mean, it's a sports movie. You're like, you guys are a bunch of bums, even though they're the best team by far. By far. Like the Mighty Ducks movies where the best team in the whole world, they lose the Mighty Ducks and they all get kicked off, or like they lose one game, or like they let them. The worst movie trope is when they score one goal or 1 point or one run or whatever game you're playing, and they're so mad that they got scored on, even though they maybe won by 10.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I mean, Murray also got a 30-point triple.
Murray also got a triple-double, yep.
In that game last night, where they just got creamed. I was just talking to a colleague about this. I think, unfortunately, the Heat are gassed, totally gassed.
I think so.
They had 2 games for the play-in. I mean, they're a great sports story, right? They're the play-in story, right? 2 games for the play-in, 5 against the Bucks, 6 against the Knicks,
6 against the Knicks,
7
against the Celtics.
And now they're playing the best team in basketball, and they won one, so that's great. But I mean, they got crushed in 1 and 3. Like, it was embarrassing in 1 and 3. And so I think they maybe win one more.
So you think it's not going to be Nuggets in 6?
Nuggets in 6, yeah.
So my opinion on this is, I mean, even I think with a healthy Miami team, the Nuggets are just a huge matchup against them. Like they Jokic is a 7-foot beast.
Well, Bam is tiny. I mean, Bam is
exactly.
Scruffy.
The Heat don't really have a center.
Right.
Like Bam is 6'9". He's listed as 6'9". I don't know how tall he really is, but he's a stick too. Like he's very skinny, and Jokic essentially can do whatever he wants. And the game 2, when they did actually kind of stop Jokic, they did try to double him a lot. And
that's the way they win. By the way, they make it. I mean, if you cover Jokic and he beats you, fine. He's the best player in basketball right now, and he beats you. But don't let him pass the ball. Don't let him.
That's a big thing. He's their distributor.
Let him get offensive rebounds. Like, you're letting him do too many things.
So he plays center the way like an NHL center plays, right? Where they're like
kind of.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not
the focal point.
It's the same word, Pete, but it's not a relatable position.
I was going to say they're very different positions in basketball versus hockey.
Yeah,
so it's very reminiscent of how the Celtics won in 2008, because they went down to Kevin Garnett, and Kevin Garnett essentially went down. He was down in the low block, and he would kind of distribute the ball here or there. I love an offense like that. And that reminds me of the offenses, of the late 80s, early 90s, when you had all the big centers, and it's essentially you just put it down low to the center, and the center just did his thing. He either went to the basket or he dumped it off. Having an offense go through a center is gonna always be my favorite.
I mean, some of the best offenses
offense
in the history of basketball, the Dr. J offense. I mean, some of the best offenses go through the center.
Kareem, Shaq.
I was going to say Shaq seems like he'd be the center, just like dominating.
Patrick Ewing going to the Knicks.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, so I don't know if you're watching basketball in the 90s, Pete, but Shaq's thing was that he was stronger than everyone else. He wasn't taller than everyone else, but he was stronger than everyone else.
He just kind of shoved everybody out of the way, right? And
large man.
Right,
he would just continue moving backwards until he was close enough, because he was a very bad shooter, until he was close enough that he could make it.
Yeah, right. He was just
why shoot from all the way back there when you can just back your way in?
He was just like bully layup machine.
Basketball is completely
about
different right now, though, right? Like you got, I mean, and he is not playing anymore, but you have big power forwards and small forwards that are 6'10" that can shoot threes. You have guys who are 6'9" and 6'10" who carry the ball down. You have Jokic, and you have My brain, the guy in the Mavericks who was very tall for a point guard.
Luka Doncic.
Luka Doncic, very tall for a point guard. I mean, so the world, like the dynamic is changing. And then you have Wembanyama, who is like 1,000,000 feet tall.
Victor Wembanyama.
He's like now 1,000,000 feet tall.
Right.
He's tall, but he's not thick.
Yet.
So it'd be very interesting how, because Anthony Davis was like that too. Anthony Davis got he put a little bulk on him. So it'll be interesting to see how Wembanyama is used by the Spurs, right? I believe the Spurs won the NBA draft lottery.
The Wembanyama off?
Yep, the Wembanyama off.
Amazing.
Oh, that's hard to say, especially after you've had a few scotches.
I can't say it right.
The Wembanyama off.
Wembanyama.
Amazing.
There's and I'm gonna do it. There's pronunciation YouTubes, so you can have a guy with a really cool accent pronounce all the really hard names like Victor's.
Oh, yeah, I do that for the Sabres goalie, and that's how I found out his name is Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Yeah, he says it just like that.
Ukko-Pekka
Luukkonen, which I think they might trade him, but yeah. I really wanted to get a jersey of his, but I don't think he's good enough.
Can you say it again, Pete?
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
I think I could have you say that for the rest of the time.
That should be our next soundbite for next topic.
Yeah.
We have to get together and record sound bites because sound bites make me happy.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, next topic.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Amazing.
I've totally lost track of what we're talking about now.
We're talking about basketball.
Yeah, not a random hockey goalie.
That's right. We go sports.
Also, do you guys completely love, I mean, it's not new now, but I mean, for me who doesn't really watch the Nuggets' new uniforms, I love the Nuggets uniform right now.
I like the Nuggets' old uniform.
I think all old
with
uniforms
like the rainbow
in all sports were completely stupid.
And with the city.
I read a theory in the 90s, maybe the early aughts, that football teams with terrible uniforms never won, and that's why the Bucks were terrible.
But they had like the orange creamsicle.
The creamsicle will never won a Super Bowl.
I love those.
They look so bad. Right?
and the Chargers with the powder blues.
I like the powder blue Chargers,
and that's why they tried to make the Bucks seem cool, right? The Pirates are all mean now, and the colors are not so stupid.
Hey, they won shortly after they switched to that uniform too, right?
That's right. That's right.
I mean, one of the simplest jerseys are the Dallas Cowboys, and they won 3 of 4, or whatever like that. They won 3 Super Bowls.
Even their
and the
colors
49ers, they didn't have like the very popular jerseys, they had a very simple jersey, and they won a lot of Super Bowls.
The Cowboys,
although you said the aughts, right?
Slightly, but
that was back in the day.
Just different shade.
Mel hates when I say the aughts.
I like the aughts.
Well, what else do we call them?
They're the aughts.
The double zeros?
That's like the word tchotchkes.
The double O's.
We call it like the double O's?
Do you guys use the word tchotchke?
No.
Not in my daily life. I've heard of it.
I have tons of tchotchkes. I can find a tchotchke.
What?
I can find a tchotchke for you guys. This is a tchotchke.
Oh, okay.
It's a Reaper tchotchke.
It looks like a pop figure kind of.
But we digress.
Anyway.
But we digress, and we're out of time anyway. So
tchotchkes are not a sponsor of this podcast.
Tchotchkes not a sponsor.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this one. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Do you have a next topic? I do.
I always think he's just going to go.
It's my turn, right?
Hello. And then
you
just stop.
You just had it.
Oh, I just went.
That was your topic, man.
I've lost.
It's okay.
All sense of common sense.
All sense of common sense. And so we haven't done this in a while. So in this episode's installment of the If These Balls Could Talk AI Corner, Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, recently testified before a U.S. Senate committee about the possibilities and pitfalls of a large language model AI. He said that AI could be as big as the printing press, but did acknowledge the dangers, which are in line with the ones we've discussed on the show already. So I'm not sure, and Pete will probably like to talk about this, but I'm not sure I'm okay with the head of an AI company talking to the government about what they should do with AI. What do we feel about this conflict of interests, and what changes do we foresee that AI will force into government policy and law?
Well, we have a bunch of insider trading for stocks, so I mean, I don't see what the big problem is.
We're already full on corrupt. Why stop there?
Just go full corrupt. Why not?
It's like Sam Altman sitting in Congress going like, those guys, those AI developers, they're a bunch of criminals.
Yeah.
Like, you should tax those guys.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that?
Except for
like,
our
seriously,
company.
guys.
You should treat our AI company really well. We'll advise you.
We will definitely not invade the public specter. And
I just got a cake delivery, you guys.
You got a cake delivery? That's amazing. Hi, Steph.
Ooh.
It's a cake.
That was
Bye,
awesome.
Steph. Steph didn't bring me cake.
I want a cake.
Yeah.
Can
Steph,
she
if you're
bring a
listening,
cake to
bring
Rhode
me cake.
Island?
I mean, yeah, it's like a 3-week-old carrot cake, but sure.
So, I guess the thought that we need to push our, just down is that AI is going to happen, right? It's going to be in everything.
It's already happening.
And well, I mean, but just like right now, it's still like I like to discuss it because I like bleeding edge technology.
Sure.
But,
yeah. You
Microsoft,
can't stop it.
And I've said this on the show before, Microsoft has invested over $2 billion in OpenAI, and they are cashing in their investment. So it's already in Bing. It's going into Microsoft Office. It already tells me how to write my emails in Outlook. It already tells me how to write my emails in Gmail. I mean, where?
That's Google.
Well, yes, I know it's Google, but I'm saying it's all language model AIs understanding the way I write and what I want to say, and it gets it right a lot. And so I like it a lot. I use it a lot, right? Anytime Melanie has like a creative question, she's like, "Hey, what should my friend name her Instagram?" I'm like, "Well, let's just ask the AI, because the AI will give me 10 suggestions in 5 seconds, right?" And I'm a busy person and I don't have time to think about that stuff. But where do we stop? Right?
I guess when it stops becoming a tool and it starts using us as a tool, I don't know. It's hard to make that distinction.
That's the thing, right? That happens in a lot of like movies and books. The fact that AI starts to create other AI.
Right. Well, wasn't there a situation where two AI, where two different AIs were talking to each other, and then they pulled the plug when they realized they were creating a new language that only they could understand? That's creepy.
That definitely happened. They definitely did that.
Like, that actually happened. That's not even from a movie. Like, oh my God.
The guy who was on the Bard team at Google, and he might be a crazy person, but he was convinced that Bard was cognizant and that there needed to be ethical treatment of Bard, and he actually got put on leave because Google HR was like, "Hey, Bard's not alive, bud." But
hey, I mean, when that's your baby,
I mean, at a certain degree, if it talks like a person and acts like a person, what is it?
I took a few college courses early on as part of the communication part of my electronic media art and communication degree. And one of the big things was exactly that. It was talking about, a kind of AI driven communication of or computers communicating with humans. And really I think that threshold is, there's no objective one. I think it might be subjective for everybody. It's when you yourself perceive that as real. Like, if you truly are convinced that thing is real, then what's to say it isn't to you? It's a creepy way to think about it, but
we're getting deep.
Yeah. It's getting kind of metaphysical.
The tree falls in a forest. It's the tree falls in a forest question, right? Like, what creates reality for you, right?
Yeah,
or for in general.
You have your own perception of reality, and if something is powerful enough to suspend that disbelief and get past that uncanny valley, I guess, in terms of communication.
And see, this is the moment where I wanted Colin to talk about the philosophical implications of AI and
right. His knowledge goes way beyond mine.
How he can prove without a shadow of a doubt that OpenAI is just a computer program doing a fancy parlor trick, because that's what he'd say. Hey, Colin.
I mean, it's still maybe for now, but you're getting glimpses of more, and it.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's the question that I have. What aren't we getting shown? What isn't free on the internet that's easily Googleable and easily usable with a Gmail account, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think that they've got tech that's years ahead of what we see in the public, like behind closed doors in some of these companies.
Absolutely.
Sure, right?
Absolutely. They do that with all kinds of tech.
Of course.
And I've said on the show before.
Why would AI be any different?
We should be naive to think that the people at OpenAI aren't talking to the people at Boston Dynamics, because that is also definitely happening.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably listening to us right now.
I know what those those flippy construction robots are thinking.
But what could the government do though? Like, could there be like, you know, how you have like a robotics code of ethics? Like, could you do something like that for AI and have something that's kind of...
That's an excellent question, Pete.
Know.
In some respects, the government
that?
probably should. The government probably should have some kind of regulation prepared, but I don't necessarily trust this government to be able to put out what is necessary in order to have it be meaningful without, you know, having their hands in the cookie jar, right?
Yeah, right. There's so much. Yeah, I mean, there's so much money in politics, but like, even if the intention's right and it was written out perfectly and everybody agreed, would it ever get passed? Probably not. It would just stay in gridlock.
I think that ideally,
that's another story.
Yeah.
Ideally, initially at least, regulation needs to come from media creation, and specifically there needs to be a regulation on what AI-driven content, what fake content essentially can be produced and distributed. And because the thing that scares me, right, is that there are a lot of stupid people. A lot. And if I can very easily...
No one that listens to this podcast, though.
No, not the ballers.
No, the ballers.
You say I slipped that in there. We've been trying to say that for a while. There you go. There are a lot of people who will believe if something that looks like Joe Biden comes on the screen and says something inflammatory that it's not him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the level of deepfake that is already possible is insane.
Sure,
insane.
Absolutely.
And so what if you can do that with a keystroke? And what if you can do that for anybody? Like, I mean, like the Drake album, right? They put out an AI-driven Drake album that sold very well. They got the Beatles back together. I mean, they can do anything.
No, there needs to to be something for authenticity.
Yes.
I mean, again, do I trust this government to do something about that?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I don't.
The eagle-eyed or eagle-eared can still pick it out a lot of times, but you're right though. All it needs to do is just convince enough people to cause some kind of stir or cause some kind of crazy movement, and that's it.
Right? How do you know it's real? Like, and let's just push it out and be real crazy. Like, in 10 years, where everything is AI driven and commercials are, you know, you can create a news scene that never happened and make it look believable and fool 70% of the people, 80% of the people. What does it matter past that?
Right. It used to be easy to spot a photoshopped image, but I see what you mean. It gets harder every year as everything gets better. Artists get better, and in this case, the computer gets better.
Right.
I feel like, is it me, or I feel like we're just bumming everyone out with this episode?
Yeah, sorry about that.
We've been talking about some like big dark topics.
I love this topic.
The dark episode.
My next one probably not going to help too, by the way.
Black balls.
We'll see.
Is the name? Should be the name of the episode.
It's actually not that bad.
And yeah. All right, Pete, you got a next topic?
The next topic. That was dumb. I can do better.
I'm gonna keep
topic.
The end.
Fine.
That's good.
All right, so Apple CEO Tim Cook announced this week that Apple will be producing a new headset called the Vision Pro with virtual reality or augmented reality capabilities. It will cost $3,500, but they justify the cost because they say it will replace other electronics like television and will be seamless with other Apple products. So everyone, how will Apple's VR investment pan out, and is it any different than the attempts from other companies like Facebook?
I mean, it'll be great. Apple makes great hardware. They have great engineers and they have great QA, and it'll be great.
Did you buy one?
I have. You can see it in the background. I have a what is that? A Quest 2.
Oculus.
Yep. I got a Quest 2 because it was wireless and because it was pretty much exactly what I wanted. I can connect. I can be in a space. I can all the meta stuff. Honestly, I mean, I don't ever imagine. Our friend Jeff. Hey Jeff. Works for a lot of companies and knows a lot of people who use a lot of the Facebook meta worlds. and he has friends who have to take meetings in Meta. The meeting stuff in Meta is cool, but I would never, ever, 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 ever work for a company that did that, because I think that having that very big, very awkward thing on my face for 6 hours would literally drive me insane. But VR itself is cool. I think it is a lot cooler than I ever imagined it to be. We play a game, Keep Talking and We Don't Explode, which essentially puts you in a room with a bomb, and your friends who don't have the headset on have to tell you how to disarm the bomb, which is so fun, especially when you're drinking. Yeah,
they have the instruction manual, but the person in the VR headset just has the bomb. And the people
in the room, the lights turn off in the room. You can pick the bomb up and turn the bomb over. There's a whole bunch of really cool immersive shooter games. If you guys live in a major metro, there's tons of arcades in major metros with giant VR rooms, like, 10 by 10, 12 by 12 VR rooms where you can do immersive VR shooters with your friends, which is amazing. Just amazing stuff you can do. So Apple's going to put out a great product. I think $3,500 is too expensive for a VR headset. I think the Meta or the Horizon, I keep saying the wrong word, the Quest. The Quest was in the 200 or 300s, and essentially it's a gaming.
People thought that was too much.
Yeah,
it's a gaming console, and people should price it as a gaming console. Yeah. So it's. God,
I will say the difference with this one, and at least as far as what Apple's marketing, and from what I can tell, the Sony's micro OLED chip that's in there for the displays for each eye, this goes way beyond any other VR headset in terms of just raw visual quality. I don't know about the audio quality yet. They're talking about using ray tracing for sound. I'm like, okay.
So that was another hook that they had with the fact that you could watch like a 4K movie in this, and it's almost like watching an IMAX.
It's the pixel density is insane. It's like 64 times like one of their iPhones or something like that. It's absolutely absurd. And as far as I know, brightness for HDR, this thing can get to like 5,000 nits, and it's probably just because it's so close to your eye, right? Because it's the way brightness is measured for nits it's a candle at, I believe, like a meter difference, and basically like sound, it's a square value of depreciation the further you get away from it. So the fact that it's that close, it can run much brighter. You can have like an HDR image that is absolutely incredible, like better than any TV that exists right now, even the brand new QD OLEDs that Samsung and LG, Samsung and Sony are putting out. So in that respect, you're really now, if the sound is going to match the picture, okay, you're spending $3,500 on this thing, putting it up against some people's $70,000 home theaters in their houses. So suddenly the price now makes a little bit more sense.
Compared to that, it's cheaper.
Right. Yeah. And this is a high-end video file product, right? I think that's how they're going to market it, is something beyond like your average headset. Oh, and by the way, it can do 3D in VR.
And Apple also did acknowledge that. It's kind of a thick and clunky headset still, and they know that the future is maybe just something as small as just a pair of glasses, like Google Glass was.
Yeah.
So they did kind of recognize that. I'll give you guys a little secret though. VR headsets do not work on me.
Really? You're too smart.
Because I am left eye dominant. So it doesn't really. It kind of works. I'm left eye dominant, so I can kind of see it on the left. But everything on the right is just either blurry or it just doesn't come in at all. So,
oh wow. So you don't get the stereoscopic effect?
Yeah. So people like me, and I don't know about people with other kind of vision problems, like people with astigmatism. Will they be able to use this? I don't know.
It can be tricky. I used to have astigmatism before I got LASIK, and but I'm trying to remember if I went to a 3D movie before that. So I feel like that was right around the era.
Yeah,
where
I always have problems with 3D movies because I can only see like half the stuff.
Yeah, but at least for astigmatism, like you could correct that with contacts and stuff. But right, there are certain other eye conditions where you can't, and so I don't know.
I've been told that I could potentially get it fixed with laser surgery, but because my brain is so used to having one eye being dominant, the repercussions of it are potentially going to be kind of awkward or bad, just because my brain might get confused. Or
you'd have to do some exercises, probably.
Yeah, but I've been able to function, for almost 42 years of my life being left eye dominant. I can still play sports. I was able to hit a baseball. I'm able to hit a tennis racket. Or tennis ball, excuse me, with a tennis racket. So I've been able to manage. But virtual reality headsets and 3D glasses generally do not work for people like me.
I get a reasonable amount of vertigo sometimes, especially when we do like heights or like there's a couple of cool YouTube TVs where you're like doing free climbs with free climbers, which is super fun, but also it makes me super dizzy. So I'm just like, oh God. And I hold on to my chair. I'm like, I'm going to die.
There are definitely some people that are more predisposed to that. Like, right, you hear a lot of people that get vertigo from VR. Sometimes it's the people, sometimes it's the headset itself not having enough resolution, or it's the latency is too high, and just that tiny little amount, even like a 20 millisecond latency on a VR headset matters way more when your field of view is all the way around your head, as opposed to your.
So that's the other thing. I get really bad motion sickness.
That's doubly bad. So yeah, it could be both, right?
VR is just not.
So you don't want to try mine out then, is what you're saying?
Probably not.
Oh,
it's hella fun.
It is.
All right.
What do we got?
And we are at time. So we want to do happier, or we want to do more annoying? Let's do happier. All right. Let's do.
Conversely, with our other episodes, we should end on a happy one this time. Hey, baby.
Well, I have one more topic, and it's not going to be super happy.
Oh, hey, you started with me. I forgot.
Yep.
I always end. Amazing. All right. So, Bill's OTAs are underway, and safety Damar Hamlin took his usual spot in the defensive secondary.
This is a great story. Yep.
It was the first time in an OTA open practice. It was the first time he was in an OTA open practice open to the media, and that Hamlin wore his helmet and fully participated after almost losing his life on the field back in January of this year. He also participated in some tight coverage against Nyheim Hines and Keyshawn Johnson. The next stop, according to GM Brandon Beane, will be putting on pads and tackling during camp. Beane is not expecting Hamlin to start camp on either the PUP or the NFI, and he has been medically cleared to resume play since April. Hamlin's whole story continues to be amazing, and his progress has impressed his team and the public. Do you think he plays this season, and should he?
This seems so soon to me. It really does. Now, if he's been medically cleared, great. So do I think he'll play this year? Probably. Do I think he's going to start? Probably not to start the season, but maybe later on. Do I think it's too soon? To me, I kind of hit upon this earlier. It sounds really soon to me. Now, I am not a doctor. I have not studied medicine. I don't know. Just my first instinct is this sounds super soon, but I don't know. Pete, being the resident Bills fan, what do you think?
I mean, it comes down to the player. I mean, if he's physically medically cleared to go, then you've got to be mentally cleared to go as well. And I feel like we saw an example of Tre'Davious White last year coming back from an ACL injury that happened in 21 was still not right and still not really fully seemed like engaged, ready to play at the end of last season, which is well over a year after he healed. And every player approaches that differently. With Hamlin,
so preseason is going to be the big test, right? Because that's going to be the first time he's going to get hit.
And the nice thing for Damar, though, is that the reason that he was starting so much last season is because Micah Hyde got his neck injured in, I was going to say episode 2, in the game 2 of the season. And, he was
second episode of the Bills.
Second episode of the football thing. Yeah, so Damar was basically their starting safety last year in place of Micah Hyde, which that won't be the case this year. Hyde and Poyer are back healthy, so he will be, and he's not, they have Taron Johnson for their nickel corner. So Damar is, thank kind of in a nice way 4th on the depth chart, so he can ease his way back into things.
But he'll still probably end up playing.
Oh yeah, he'll play.
Even if will he play special teams? Probably not. I'm guessing he's not going to play special teams.
I wouldn't. that would be one concession, or like right for playing. It's like I'm not.
The risk of that is probably a little too much, especially considering those are usually the hardest hits.
Yep.
But I just have a feeling he'll be out there. He'll probably be out there that first game somehow.
I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, right. The first time they're in a dime package,
especially the first time in Buffalo.
Yeah.
That's also a good sports story.
Oh, yeah.
Good sports story.
And he seems
sports story.
He seems energetic in practice. Too. He did practice you said he's practicing in full team drills now.
Right.
So
which is the first time since the accident.
Yep. Yeah, it was just the other day. So that's pretty awesome.
Just the other day. And he did a heart and a 3 for his number.
Yes.
He did.
Here's a question for you guys. Does he by default win NFL Comeback Player of the Year, or
no.
Is there it can still go back to somebody else
first.
Right, of course.
Right.
He may not be
we'll
a
see
big
how he
name.
comes back.
People will root for him.
I think if he does come back and maybe not even start, but because he's on Micah Hyde's team, but maybe if he plays.
Yeah, even if he doesn't win it
reasonably.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to have him as if not an honorable mention or like a nominee or something. But
I mean, maybe give him another kind of award, potentially.
Sure.
Just
I mean, he did die twice playing football, which is twice more than anyone else.
I'm just thinking of Alex Smith.
We're glad you're alive.
Yes.
We're glad you're alive, Tamar. Thank you for not dying.
Yes. Just reminds me of Alex Smith, right? When his leg just completely exploded.
Oh, the
right?
leg
that
injury.
Was horrific. And I mean, the poor guy almost lost his leg, and he ended up coming back and playing a full season with the now Washington football team, or no, Washington Commanders. Were they the football team then, or were they still the Redskins?
They were not the football team then.
Oh, okay. Either way, he played for Washington, and I think he won Comeback Player of the Year, but he was a little bit higher profile before the injury, right? Starting quarterback in a bunch of teams. Yeah. So, and
he had a pretty good year too.
He did. So he definitely played enough to, I see what you mean, like did enough on the field to really earn that objectively as well as like from a feel-good perspective.
So, all right. Where do we feel? So, how many games do you think he's going to play?
I bet
start with Pete.
I bet he's sprinkled in most of them, honestly.
Yeah.
If he's ready, he's ready. It sounds like he is.
If Bean is already telling the press that he is not going to be popped and he's not going to be NFI'd, he's going to start the season healthy. So he's
going to be on the active roster potentially. Yeah.
Right?
But his snap count, I bet, is going to be pretty limited. He may not be fourth in the depth chart at first.
I agree. And I don't think, on a healthy Bills secondary, I don't think he makes that team yet. Right? I don't think he makes that starting lineup. I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, that's what I was saying.
He doesn't make the starting lineup.
All else aside, he's their number 4 because Taron Johnson is very specifically their nickel corner, so he's by default their 3rd.
And Micah Hyde's Micah Hyde.
Micah Hyde's Micah Hyde, yeah.
Right. So, I think that as far as the value add that he had, before he got hurt, the value add he had last season and keeping that secondary together, I think was invaluable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then after he almost dies, and I just don't think they win after that. I think they were just all too distracted.
Right. Come to think of it too, if they run a dime, does that even put a third safety in the field or a third corner? So if that's the case, then he wouldn't even see action then.
Technically, dime is a 4th corner.
Okay, so then maybe you may not even see him for that. Right.
But if you do like a quarter or a dollar defense, that tends to have 3 safeties. A little football 101 there.
There you go.
Football.
That's what I was digging for.
I haven't been paying attention. When does Von Miller come back?
He says week 1. I don't believe that. I'm going to guess like week 5 or 6. And that's still pretty ambitious.
Pete, can you explain to everyone who doesn't know Von Miller's injury?
ACL tear. So
that run-of-the-mill thing.
Yeah,
just a run-of-the-mill ACL.
It shows you how different.
And Von Miller, not exactly a young man.
No, but it shows you how different players respond to it.
Younger than we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
34, I think.
For pro football.
Tre'Davious White tore his ACL Thanksgiving Day, 2021 season. Came back at the end. Came back on Thanksgiving this year, but barely played and wasn't really himself I would argue, until maybe even the playoffs. And even then, he wasn't 100%.
He's going to be a different player this year.
I think he's going to be hopefully back to himself again. Vaughn tore his ACL Thanksgiving 2022, and he's already saying he's got no problems with the knee and can do every drill that he wants.
It can happen. Adrian Peterson, I believe, he tore his ACL in December or January, and he came back week 1 the very next year.
That's incredible.
So it can happen.
Yeah. I mean, Adrian was a freak of nature, and I guess Von Miller is too, so don't count out those guys. Yeah.
It could definitely happen. All right. Are we moving on to the next topic, right?
Let's do it.
We got a little more time, unless we want to.
We've been going on for a while.
I did just actually start the timer, so let me stop the timer.
So we're
what was the other timer for? You said there was a timer that was started 7 minutes ago.
There's one that ended 2 minutes ago.
All right. Well, either way,
let's move on.
Yep.
All right. Final topic. Fight.
You guys on?
No.
No.
It's the rewind. Final topic.
That was awesome.
So it has been well documented on this show how much John loves Aaron Rodgers. One of the reasons was the never-ending saga of possible retirement. This not only spanned multiple months, but also multiple seasons. And while we're probably not done having that conversation, causing John's veins to pulse, it seems that LeBron James wants to hop on the train with rumors of his possible retirement after this past NBA season. So everyone, is LeBron James possibly retiring the next never-ending story? The never-ending story.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know if I even care, honestly.
Okay.
I mean,
Wait, don't sugarcoat it. Tell me how you really feel.
And truthfully, he had a great season for an old man. I mean,
he did have a pretty good year.
I think
we're just as old as LeBron. Not really.
Yeah, but we're
younger.
I ride a desk
younger.
every day, as do the both of you. So I don't think it's the same.
He's not going to retire. He's not going to retire.
I think the Lakers were a very good basketball story this year. I think that they had a good season. They made the playoffs. They did well in the first round. I mean, they hit the Nuggets, who we already discussed are the best team in basketball right now and are going to win the NBA Finals. I mean, if they don't hit the Nuggets, they probably win more games, honestly.
No. They overachieved this year.
They did. But LeBron looked a little old. And he got punched in the balls in the playoffs.
He did get punched in the balls.
Yeah.
But
too soon.
Do I think he's going to retire? I don't think he's going to retire.
No, he's not going to retire.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to turn down $40 million.
But that's the thing. We're going to talk about this for a while. He'll make a decision maybe right before the season.
Is he going to need to have like a season or two like Jordan had at the end of his career, like when he was in the Wizards?
No.
To finally convince himself to leave.
We don't talk about the Jordan crazy
Those 2 years did not count.
Okay.
When he joined the Wizards and
strike them from the books.
Basketball.
He should have definitely retired. He should have definitely retired with the game-winning shot against Byron Russell and the Jazz. That game-winning shot. That's how his career should have ended, and that's how I remember it as ending.
Yeah.
All right.
Did you see the Jordan movie yet, Mark?
No, I haven't.
He will take it personally.
You've only known me for 20 plus years, and you don't know my name.
Listen, man,
I was very disappointed.
It's late, and I'm old.
as we've established,
we're just trying to see how many other things can go wrong in this episode.
So LeBron, I know.
I messed up the intro.
LeBron has been known for saying things and then just totally going backwards on it or something like that. Like he's also said he wants to play with his son Bronny.
That would be cool.
Who is 2 years away? I think it's 2 years away from being in the NBA.
Wow.
Well,
maybe 1 year.
Did he commit to a college yet?
I believe he's committed to a college. Do I know what that college is off the top of my head? No, I want to say it's either USC or UCLA. I could be wrong about that. Let's get our researcher on that.
Yep.
I'm on it. USC. Good call.
USC.
Have we ever seen a
so he'll play college this year, and then he'll go to the NBA. So, and who knows what team he goes to? LeBron has definitely said he wants to play with his son. We'll see what happens with that. So potentially LeBron James going to play at least 2 more years. I mean, he could. He's the man is a tank. He could definitely. His body should be able to take it.
Sure. I mean, even non-prime LeBron would still probably be at worst average starter level in the league, right? Like 40-year-old LeBron. I don't know.
Yeah, but you have that mentality. I mean, going back to Michael Jordan on the Wizards.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that he did.
He
kind of
still
fall off a
thought
cliff
he
there.
was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, right. You have
Which
to change.
times there were some days he was.
Yeah,
He was not.
but you're not going to do that all the time. And
Some days he was.
He was not.
I could see that. Right. It's a lot of it is being aware of yourself and knowing like how to change your style and play to your ability that helps the team the best. Because if you're trying to like superhero it out there when you're just not that person anymore, you're just hurting yourself and the team.
With the way that the game has changed, LeBron could legitimately be at center.
Yeah,
like he's played center in the past. He doesn't have to play on a wing and drive to the basket anymore.
Right.
He could essentially just be the center and play in the low block and maybe do a couple. He's got a pretty decent post game. He could distribute it from there. So that's a way to kind of save his career a little bit. Now he's playing with Anthony Davis, who also is who is more of a center than he is. But you know, that's back in the day in the 80s and 90s, like John and I like to talk about. You had 2 bigs down in the post. Maybe one was in the high post, one was in the low post. You could theoretically do it.
And some of them were very mean and meant to hurt people, like
Very
Charles
mean.
Oakley.
Oh, Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing.
And Scottie Pippen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or what about the Pistons with Bill Laimbeer?
Ooh, Bill Laimbeer was very mean.
Actually, going back to the Bulls, that was like Bill Cartwright and Horace Grant. Those were the 2 bigs for the Bulls.
I hated that Bulls team. That was
But
like
you had 2 people down the block all the time.
I mean, that was like Pete and the Cowboys. Every time the Knicks were good. Every time. And the Knicks were good for a long time in the 90s.
Every time.
Every time the Knicks were good, the Bulls were better.
You had Patrick Ewing. Yeah, he was either the Pistons or the Bulls.
Or the Pacers that one year.
Or the Pacers, yeah. Reggie
That
Miller
one-
scoring 9 points in 3 seconds. Love that. That's one of my favorite NBA plays.
That made me so sad, Pete.
Yeah, that I know what you mean.
Did I ever explain this play to you?
Which play?
So 14 seconds left in the Eastern Conference Finals. Back when I was maybe 10. The Knicks were up by 9, 10. They were up by a lot. And Reggie Miller, who was a shooting guard on the Pacers, he shot a 3.
Okay.
And then, so what happens when a team scores is the other team gets the ball, they have to pass it in, they have to dribble it down the court. He stole the inbound pass, backed up, shot a 3.
Ooh.
And then he
but wait, there's more.
Again.
He did again.
What?
He stole the inbound pass, backed up, and shot a 3.
Oh my
and this,
God.
by the way, is in the span of 4 seconds. And so I literally, it was late. I was like, I guess I'm going to bed. Sweet, the Knicks won. And I'm like, wait a second.
Oh, that's got to be heart-wrenching.
And then they didn't. And like we like to say,
Epic. That was an epic
professional
play.
sports is all momentum. I think they went into overtime
Until it isn't.
after that performance, and then obviously they lost in overtime and lost the series because their hearts were literally ripped out.
Yeah,
And so
you
that's
probably
like
just deflate your hopes and dreams at that point. You're playing like, how could that have happened? That's tough.
That was like not like, but resemblant to Game 4 of the NBA, the semifinals this year, where the Knicks couldn't get a defensive rebound to save their life against the Miami Heat. I was like, oh my god. There was one play that the Heat got three defensive rebounds. That's a minute of basketball just gone.
Damn.
No points. Anyway, I digress.
Sad panda.
As I tend to.
Sad panda.
It's all good.
Sad Bam. The Knicks also very good at rebounding this year, so the whole thing was very confusing.
All right, are we good? I think we're good.
I think we're good.
All right. Shall I start, Pete?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So that has been our 10 topics. We'd like to thank our guest, even though he wasn't able to join us. Thanks, Colin, for trying to get here.
We'll get him again. It's a
We'll
long
get him
season.
again. Please follow or like us on our socials at If These Balls Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and on the YouTube channel, which hopefully you are watching right now. Our website is www.iftheseballscould.com, where you can see our sports news of the day, our AI story hour, or you can talk to us through Discord.
IfTheseBallsCouldTalkPod.com.
All right. Maybe I did screw that up a little bit. Okay. All right. So this is Mark Pesci, and for my partner, John Companion, and producer Pete Steffen, that's what we feel they would say if these balls could talk. Bye, everyone.
Bye.